If you work in care or you're planning to work in care, there is something you really need to hear, because I have come across some real stories, like true cases of carers in the UK who have lost their jobs, got struck off, or even went to prison. And honestly, some of them didn't even think they were doing anything wrong at the moment. But just one shift, one decision, and one moment, their entire career was gone. Now, this video isn't about pointing fingers. Far from it. It isn't even about shaming anyone. It's just so that we learn from real cases so that you don't find yourself on a similar path. Now, using these real life cases, let's talk about the mistakes that you must absolutely avoid as a carer and how to protect yourself, your patients, and your job. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're seeing me for the very first time, my name is Evelyn. On this channel, I share immigration updates, I share updates about working in the UK, living in the UK, and everything in between that. So if this kind of content interests you, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from this channel. I'm happy to have you here if you're new, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Now let's get started. My first case is a woman named Bilikisu Olagunju. She was new on her job. She was just 6 days into her job and was assigned to take care of an 88-year-old man with dementia. Now, the man's family had installed a CCTV because they were worried about the level of care that was given to him. And when they reviewed this footage for this day, they were shocked. They saw Bilikisu dragging this patient by his clothes. She spilled hot coffee near him and yelled at him, threatened him, and just full on aggression, if I may say. The family were more than horrified, and the court called it degrading. But the part that really surprised so many people is that she didn't go to jail. She got a suspended sentence, 50 hours of unpaid work, and mandatory sessions. So what went wrong here? Whatever it was a huge mistake, and it cost her career. And later in the papers, we read that the man had passed on, although the death was unrelated to this whole situation. But the family believed that the death of this patient was hastened by the action of this carer. The judge also was concerned because she wasn't properly trained for the role, but the family were not taking that judgment at all, especially because their family member had passed on shortly after this incident. Now let's move to another case, a completely different situation, but just as serious. This was the case of a healthcare assistant that was working in New York with the NHS, and his name is Adewale Kudabo. He was assigned to help bedbound patients with personal care, supporting with either the shower or a wash, this kind of thing, pad change, everything that you could consider personal care. And after helping a female patient with her bath, he kissed her. And that was not once, twice. The same patient on different occasion, not like the same day. Okay. So the first day it happened, and then another day he was on a shift, it happened again. Now some people may want to say, well, he didn't mean any harm. But here's the thing. She did not consent to this. She couldn't have. She's vulnerable, and we cannot call it affection. It is violation. And the papers have it that this woman was traumatized. She also struggled with flashbacks and anxiety after this situation. And the court did not take it lightly with Adewale. He was not only sent to prison for 12 months, he was also put on the UK Sex Offenders Register for 10 years. That one moment changed everything for him. His career, his future, his job, everything. And it would have been completely avoidable The third real case I'll be sharing with you today is a nurse, Mamelo Herring. She was assisted by a carer to move a patient from one place, most likely the toilet, to her bed. Again, there were hidden CCTV cameras in this patient's room, and they were caught dragging the patient from across the floor using a band drag lift technique, and they left her in a urine stained bed afterwards. I'm not going into the details of this story because that is not the focus. I'm just talking about what they did, because if I were to go into the details, you may not like it. So I'm only talking about the situation that led to the action that was taken against each of the cases I'm sharing today. So I'm not sharing the whole story, okay? Now, because of what they did using the band drag lift technique and dragging this patient across the floor, the nurse was struck off the register, the NMC register, and was sentenced to community service. The carer as well was also sentenced to community service, and both were already, as expected, not allowed to return to care work. The fourth real case I came across was the case of Catalina Fesciu, a nurse who failed to take action after a stroke patient vomited and developed bruising. The patient later died. Another nurse escalated the situation and she was taken by an ambulance to the hospital. Eventually, she died. But Catalina, this nurse, was convicted of willful neglect and she was struck off too. Lastly, on this video is the case of another carer, Anne McCrish, who also dragged another dementia patient across the floor, and this patient was an amputee. The tribunal said she showed complete lack of compassion and she was struck off too. Yeah. So let's be clear. These mistakes are not always about where you're from. It's about the choices you make as a carer or healthcare staff. And you may want to ask yourself that, why do these things keep happening? Because this is just a few of many others that we haven't seen or have yet to be published or have been published and we have not laid our hands on. Why do these things keep happening? It's no news that the healthcare is under massive pressure. It had too many shifts, poor training, sometimes poor supervision as well. And all of these create an environment where carers, especially those who are very, very new in the roles and are unsupported, end up making very serious mistakes like this. Some either get overwhelmed, some others are left to do things on their own, and some just don't understand how serious boundaries are in the profession, like the case of the guy that kissed the patient. That was him crossing a boundary that should never have been crossed in the first place. But you should know that there is no excuses for these kinds of mistake. The system don't care why you made the mistake. Once it happens, it is you, the carer, who pays the price. Because, like the case of the guy that kissed the patient, I remember the paper reporting that he felt it was a form of compassion or a form of showing care. But why he did it did not change the fact that he's still being punished for his actions. Here is what I want you to take away from all of these scenarios that have been shared. Number one is that you should never take a shift that you have not been trained for. If you don't know how to manage a dementia patient or a certain kind of patient or even someone with challenging behaviors, say no to that shift. If necessary, ask for training. Like if you must take that shift in the future, ask for training. It's not a sign of weakness, it's you being professional. The second thing is that you have to be conscious of what you're doing, especially if you're working with a nurse, could be a charge nurse, whatever their ranking. It's easy for you to assume they know everything. Of course, that is how it will seem. But If you're carrying out a procedure or you're taking care of a patient and you know very well, you've done the training, you know that this nurse is handling this patient wrong, or this is not how it's supposed to be. Like the case of the drag lift technique that was used by a nurse and a care assistant. I'm now assuming that it's possible the care assistant trusted her judgment more than the training she got. Or I don't know how both of them found themselves in that situation, because it's easy to just assume that a nurse know everything. If you know that what the nurse is doing is not right, do not do it. Say no, stand your grounds. Because when trouble comes, you will not be excused because you were listening to the charge nurse. It is assumed that you know the right thing to do and you have to safeguard your patient. That's when your duty of care comes in. You have to be courageous. It's not easy, but you have to be courageous enough to say, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. It is against the ethics. This technique has been banned. I cannot do this. Just stand your grounds. You will not be penalized for doing the right thing. I know, yes, it's more like you're putting a target on your back. That is how it always seems. But you're better safe than sorry. Number three is that respect every boundary. Don't touch patients unnecessarily. Don't try to comfort patients in ways that cross lines. As a care professional, you're actually caring for somebody, you're seeing somebody suffering, you want to make it easier for them. It is very easy to cross certain boundaries. But remember, number two, you have to be conscious. So make conscious effort to do it within the professional boundaries. No kisses, no hugging, and nothing that could be seen as inappropriate. The thing is, let me tell you, even if that patient had consented to that action from that young man, he would still have landed in trouble. So there are ways we may want to show compassion as healthcare workers to our family members by maybe giving them hugs, pats on the back, and all that. It is not the same with patients. It has to be within the confines of professional boundaries. So there are certain things you can do. Number four is that speak up when you're overwhelmed. If the shift is too unsafe for you, or generally if you think it's too much, talk to your manager. Don't suffer in silence. And most importantly, don't let stress push you into actions that you will regret later. And finally, always assume that you're being recorded. Always. Ah, I cannot emphasize this one enough. Always assume you're being recorded. Whether it is being recorded by CCTV or a patient's family member watching you, act as if someone is watching. Apart from the CCTV and the patient's family, always assume your manager's eyes are everywhere as well. Because one bad moment can end it all. If you have this mentality at the back of your mind that someone is always watching, you'll be very conscious of what you're doing and you will do it right. If you're unsure of anything, ask questions. There's a saying in my place, it would have come out better if I said it in pidgin English, that somebody that asks questions don't usually get lost. So ask questions when you are unsure. Now, families have devised a lot of means to record staff. It could be through a teddy bear, and something will be on the eyes of the teddy bear. It's a camera recording. Anything can serve as a chip, a recorder, even the remote control, there may be a chip. So always assume that the walls have ears, the couch have ears, the tables have ears, even the water bottles have ears and eyes. And above all, you're not doing it because you're being recorded. You're doing it because this is what you're meant to do out of the duty of care as well. Okay. So these will keep you safe. These are just instances. It isn't to scare you in any way, rather, it's to protect you and protect your job and your future as well. If you've not heard it enough and you're working in care, I want to tell you today that you're doing something really powerful, you're doing something amazing, you're taking care of people when they need help the most. And because of all of this, because of your kind of job, the stakes are always higher. The stories I have shared with you today are very real. And the people involved aren't evil per se. They were probably stressed, untrained, or just careless. But their mistakes had real consequences. And truly, there is no excuse for bad habits. So please don't let this happen to you. Protect your license, protect your future, and most of all, protect your patients. I appreciate you for watching up to this point. If you found this video helpful, kindly give it a thumbs up and share with somebody who may need it. Could be a friend, could be someone who is new to your agency, or just someone you think that needs this information as well. And until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep doing the good job that you're doing. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.